This is for the woman who is tired of being strong to be seen. And I want to tell you a story about my aunt today, about the silence and the overgiving and how I almost followed her path. I remember watching my aunt do the dishes one night, and it was so quiet. It was the kind of quiet where you could feel the exhaustion more than the silence. She was scrubbing like it meant something, like being useful made her real. And right beside her was her best friend, someone who loved her dearly and deeply, but didn't actually know her, not really, not the woman beneath the overgiving and the silence. And in the still moments, she had no idea who my aunt was. She wanted to know who this woman was that was busy holding everyone together and scrubbing those dishes like it actually meant something. And in that moment, it imprinted me. It imprinted me deeply. It sent a message in a quiet way that working harder meant that you will be useful, and maybe you'll be seen, and maybe you'll be heard. You're not exhausted because you're lazy. You're exhausted because you've been overgiving to be allowed to exist. You've worked harder than anyone has ever seen. And you still wonder why it feels like it's not enough. That is not a personal flaw. That, my dear sister, is an inherited survival pattern. And the moment that you see this, you, my dear sister, get to end it. Because you are walking a freaking path that is older than time. And right now, this sacred bloom that you're in is that path. I watched the women in my lineage labor, struggle, in freaking silence. I felt it. I saw it in my bones. Their worth was tied to being busy, working hard, using their body, struggling, only to be valued for her struggle, for her physical body. That's it. It was never about their being, their essence, her wonder, her magic, her intuition, her psychic abilities, her deep knowledge that she knew. She was only valued for what she could contribute physically by working hard, by struggling. I learned young that anything like that, any kind of emotions, was a burden, and asking for help was definitely no go. You couldn't ask for help. I learned that stillness was laziness. I also learned that being emotional and a dreamer and sensitive was weak. So I got good, and I got strong, and I overfunctioned, and I also disappeared. What I didn't realize is that I mistaken performance for love. I did not know that. I thought being strong, the one that holds everything together, made me valuable. I thought disappearing would make me feel safer. I thought being strong made me safe. But what I didn't realize wasn't the doing, the performing, the working, the overgiving. That didn't drain me. It was carrying this freaking inherited pattern that I inherited. What drained me was this inherited pattern that said that I had to do all the things in order to be valuable. It was holding that pattern and staying loyal to that pattern that kept me invisible, that kept me from standing in my own true power. I was staying loyal to a pattern that honestly was never mine to carry. And it's not yours to carry either. So this is not anything personal. This is not a personal flaw. This is an ancestral, I repeat, ancestral pattern that we are living out and that you're living out. The nervous system and the body, it's one and the same, remembers this, but the mind forgets. The mind forgets. And that's what's happening here, is that your body's remembering this story and it's living it every day. We carry these patterns like they're heirlooms from ancient times that have gone by until you stand up and say no. Until now, where we say no more. I'm done. I'm done. I became that woman that could hold everybody else except for myself. I was the safe one. I was the stable one. I was the one that everybody could lean on. But deep inside, I was starving to death, starving for freedom, starving for liberation, starving to hold myself, to know myself, to feel myself. What was I like without this pattern? I wasn't starving for food. I was starving for softness, for emotional connection to myself, connection to my truth, and connection to my voice. I was starving for that. And of course, I was taught that all of that is out there. It's not out there. It's in here, right here. Like right here. I have to watch my mic. Everything lives right here. And the honest truth is that I thought that stopping the doing would undo me. I thought it would mean that I was over, that I wasn't valuable. But what it did was make me real. I discovered the realness of myself by stopping the doing, stopping the performing, seeing this pattern for what it is. We don't have to do this anymore. We can let that die. And I want to say here, this, even if the connection that you had with your, because I've seen this in my maternal line, obviously, because that's what we're talking about. Even if the connection with the mother, with my mother, with your mother, is not the best connection ever, this is the ultimate prayer that your mother had for you, is to be free. Because I can promise you, they didn't know how to do this. But you're here to break these chains, to break these bonds, to break these patterns. And that I honor you for. So if you feel like you're living your mother's story when you hear me speak, I want you to know that you're not betraying her by living a life of ease. You are actually fulfilling a prayer that she could never allow to surface from deep within her own body. This is the prayer that she had deep in her bones, where her daughter would be set free, where her daughter would be free to rest, free to be felt, and free to actually matter without all the effort and the striving and the pushing and the forcing and the manipulation. You don't need to carry this anymore. Your lineage does not end in pain. Your lineage ends with your presence. When you come home to your body and live in your body. If this stirred something in you, maybe it's time to end this. Stop carrying this alone. I opened 3 private stillness sessions this week for women just like you and me that are unraveling this ancestral stuff in real time. Because you're not alone. You're not alone. We don't fix. We feel. We feel and we remember. This is the ticket. And together we return home into our hearts and our body and into our womb. This isn't a rebellion. This is a remembrance. This is not a rejection of where we came from. What this is a return to who you were before this proving pattern began. If your body says yes, I will see you in that homecoming, in that return.